who built the pyramids? The reason I'm asking this question because even though today, scientists or even the architects of like top world-class architects, they are still figuring out who built the pyramids because the accuracy of the pyramid is so well designed. And the very beautiful thing which I heard from somewhere, I'm not sure whether that's correct or not, it is all the pyramids are basically on the line of equity.
If you look like a single block of rock, it's very heavy. So it's crazy to just think that normal humans were able to carry this.
Welcome to the Avilash podcast. Today's episode, we are having a very special guest, Ali from Egypt. In this episode, we have spoken about the pyramids and we also know about the life of Egyptian people. So let's jump into today's episode only at the Avilash podcast, where the experience flows. Ali Abdul Hamid, brother, welcome to the Avilash podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Love to have you, brother. How's your life going on?
Alhamdulillah, not many complaints. We can manage whatever happens, right? So we're trying our best. And
of course, that is all we can do. Tell me about your story. Where you're from?
I'm from Egypt.
Who's from the pyramids, country of pyramids.
I used to see them every day,
Oh, really?
Casually. So casually, a lot of times I'll just pass by them. But I never physically went to them. I never visited them.
From the inside?
Yes, not just from the inside, but specifically, I'm going to the pyramids. I never did it.
Of course, you mentioned that you're passing by every day, right? So yeah, I see you already. The same like someone who lives near to Eiffel Tower, they're like, man, it's just a town.
I pass by it anytime.
It's just a town.
Or they joke or something.
Amazing, as you mentioned it. So for the people of Egypt, what is the importance of pyramid? What is pyramids for them?
Well, the pyramids, they are a symbol basically of our history and all these things, because you know that the pyramids, they are the tombs of the kings of Egypt back then, the ones that built them. There are three pyramids from biggest to smallest. The kings named them after that. So there is Khufu, Khafra, Sankara. I know the names, they are very difficult. Like, it took me a while to just say them.
Yeah, you don't know what you just said right now.
With some black magic or something, but yeah. So yeah, they were put in there after their death, and they have a lot of treasure because they believe that after death they're gonna come back to life. So they would actually die, and they would leave the treasure around them with food and everything. Like, I'm just going to sleep and then I'm waking up, for example, for a shift or something, and I have my food and everything ready. Yes. So the funny thing is that they died and they never woke up, but just thieves just got inside eventually and they started.
Amazing, very interesting. But because you are local, I have to ask you this question. Who built the pyramids?
We did.
We Egyptian people did that. Okay. No, but really, the reason I'm asking this question because even though today, scientists or even the architects of like top world-class architects, they are still figuring out who built the pyramids because the accuracy of the pyramid is so well designed. And the very beautiful thing which I heard from somewhere, I'm not sure whether that's correct or not, it is all the pyramids are basically on the line of equity. Is that correct?
I cannot confirm with you that, but I know that they say that geometrically they are just almost like what we'll say precise, perfect, in a way that they even reach the point where they're saying, okay, there are some when they say Jhin or demon who helped in building the pyramids, because if you look like a single block of rock, it's very heavy. So it's crazy to just think that normal humans were able to carry this. But I even had this thought with one of my friends. He was telling me that he was very interested in the pyramids and all these things, to the point where he actually started digging, started reading this, going there, doing that. And he reached the point where basically these big stones, They were mud at first.
There was mud,
Mud or something, yes.
like
So-
sand and water. Okay.
And then people started just moving this mud into this, like, this is one of the theories. Like, there's another one with aliens, but we'll get to this.
We will discuss that. I love to. So let's get over with first one.
So then this mud eventually when it was put stuff. It was easy, right? Like, because it's just mud. But a lot of people took a lot of people to put it all this, and eventually it just dried under the sun, something like this, and it just formed.
But because you mentioned if that is a mud and it dried under the sun, stuff like that, right? Even though for that, it's very hard to be very precise because you mentioned the block is very big in itself.
Yeah.
And the way pyramid is built, the block which is going on to the top, their size is decreasing block by block.
Yeah.
Right. So that's very interesting. And second thing regarding because you mentioned, but this is the first time I'm hearing that, honestly. And if that was a mud, what happened in the rainy season? The pyramid's supposed to collapse.
You know, that's the crazy thing is because these people back then, the ancient Egyptians, they knew so much about things like, for example, things that most of us, even right now, we're trying to figure out, like in astronomy, in biology, in all these things, like even the human body, these things, which is part of biology as well. They know a lot about these things, and like I'm disappointing my ancestors right now because there are a lot of things I don't even know 1%. When we have the internet and we can surf the web, we can learn anywhere. You can get courses.
But the weirdest part, even though we have the internet, we don't have that knowledge.
Yes. You know why?
Why?
Because most of the time when you have something, for example, that's little, just like you said, with the pyramid thing, like I see them every single day. So I never thought like, oh, I have to go them now. I'm like, I can go anytime. I can climb the Evil Tower anytime because it's easy. But when something is difficult, it proves a challenge. So it challenges you. You're like, oh, okay, fine. I'm just going to try to go there, but I'm going to try my best on this one day. Because if I don't go this one day, I'll have to wait for like 5 years. Right? You're like, no, I will push myself. But if you're just saying something every day or something scheduled, for example, you're drinking water every single day, so you're not going to go fight for water. Right? You're like,
I'll drink after an hour. You mentioned that you was passing by, so you never went inside the pyramid, like in your life?
no.
No way.
No, I never. And I regret this because I never went. Even they made some school trips to the pyramids. I'm like, I mean, I wanted to go, but my parents were like, no, trips are blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I'll just take the day off. But no one liked to go to school. They're like, okay, I just sit here, play games or whatever.
Do you think because you mentioned that pyramids are supposed to be the tomb of where kings and queens, or only the kings?
It's basically royalty.
Royalty.
As far as I know. So normal people, for example, they wouldn't get buried in pyramids. Only kings.
Kings of the kings, I believe, not the regular king. Because if supposed to be the regular king, then there must be many. How many pyramids there are in Japan?
3, but they're very big. There are actually no, not 3. There is a 4th pyramid as well. It's called Saqqara.
Mhm.
But I don't know where it is exactly. Like, as far as I know, there are 4 pyramids, but these 3 are the ones that are beside each
The
other.
reason I'm saying this, because according to me, if that is the symbol of royalty, then there must be many, many men. Because then there is a one king, then there are some small kings.
Yeah.
Then it might be, if that is a thing of the royalty, then it might be the thing of like supreme royalty, no? So only like the king of the kings can have this.
Yeah, but the pyramids, it's not like just, as far as I know, that it's not just one king or one royalty is buried there. There are a lot because they are very big. Like, even the smallest one, it's very big from the inside. It's like a maze from inside. We see videos and stuff showing you how much, like, how deep you can go into the pyramid. There are traps inside as well.
Really?
And yes, there are actually viruses inside. And you can trigger them. Like, they were very smart. And all the time they call it the curse of the pharaohs. It's not a curse. These are viruses. Things that, for example, you watch any movie, one of the movies where, for example, Tomb Raider, you know Tomb Raider?
Yep.
So when they go inside, they're like, oh, it's a curse. Or, for example, if they try to open this tomb and then spray something, then they're like, oh, it's not a curse. It's a virus. Or something like this, just to protect the tomb. They assumed everything. They're like, okay, They know, yeah, we're gonna come back to life, at least with a little knowledge. But they're like, that were not to happen, I assume. Like, at least I want to let someone open this. And if someone opens this, then curse be upon them. It's a virus. So that's why a lot of times you'd see a lot of people who going inside there and they're having protective gear, all these things, because they know that how dangerous these things are. Like, you don't know what's in there, you don't know the maze, you can get lost, you can get just keep going around for days, for months.
No way.
It's unbelievable. They were unbelievable.
But as you mentioned that they proactively design and put the viruses into the tombs in the form of traps. At that point, right now, I'm thinking that how smart those people are. At that ancient time, they have the ability to create a virus and also to use the virus as a trap. Right now, which we call as a bioweapon.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing,
Yeah.
but maybe not as the big scale, or maybe that affects only the individual it sprays on, stuff like that. But they have the ability, right?
You know the point that we couldn't comprehend something like this, that we're calling it a curse. We're like, oh, it's a curse. It's just magic. Just like we couldn't comprehend the fact that the pyramids were built by them. We're like, oh, it's just magic. It's just Jinn. It's just aliens. They came here, just did part-time jobs and helped us build the pyramids. But no, it's that.
Tell me about jinns. Like, if someone who don't know what the jinn as an entity in itself.
Well, I cannot really tell you much, except that the simple thing is that they are super paranormal beings that you cannot see with your naked eyes. They could be with us right now. Most likely they are with us, but we cannot see them. Right? Because if we see them, what of us will end this interview and just funny enough, even if wherever we go, they're there, right? So yeah, so they are basically paranormal beings. They look like they are kind of like us. They live like us. They breathe like us, but they are different.
But they are living in another dimension which we are unable to see. That.
Something like this.
Okay, did you ever have, because you mentioned this, I must know that there must be some stories you have heard from your grandparents regarding these.
There are stories. There are stories that I heard.
Share with us.
So you hear about haunted houses, right?
Yeah.
So there are actually stories that I've heard from Egypt itself, that some people would just go into a house. And I remember one of the actors, he talked about this. He was like, okay, we found this very cheap apartment. It was at the start of his career, so he was new, right? There's like, okay, I'm trying
It's also back in Egypt or somewhere here.
It's in Egypt. There's like, oh, me and my friend, we found this cheap apartment. It was very cheap. You're like, oh, it's cheap, so it's amazing. It's big, all this. So they're like, okay, fine, we're gonna take it, we rent it. And then they said that even at times when they were, for example, going to sleep, when they were sleeping, they would hear things in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Like things are moving in the kitchen. They would go, there's no one there. Okay. Then they would leave, whatever. Then the washroom is making some noises. They'd go check, no, the pipes are all good. They leave, and they'll start hearing noises, basically speaking, every time, a lot of times. But they're like, okay, then they're like, we give up. Okay, I don't care if this is just for one Egyptian pound. I'm not taking this apartment. I'm leaving. And this was another story I heard is that about a haunted house in Egypt as well. The lady, one of the, like, I think they were a married couple or whatever. So the lady, the wife was going in and stuff. And at one point, people were telling her it's a haunted house and stuff. She was like, nothing is gonna happen, right? This is the start of any horror movie. Nothing is gonna happen, and then everything goes wrong. And yeah, so it's a sad thing. She got at one point. They just went inside. And she was torn into pieces.
She was torn apart into two pieces.
Into pieces, like not just two pieces, like
into pieces, like into many pieces.
Into many pieces. So these things do happen. So that's why I've actually learned that there's a haunted house. Like, I take a lot of risks, as I discussed with you earlier, what happened earlier. But like, yeah, some risks need to be calculated very well. Because, it's like, I wouldn't throw myself in fire and be like, oh, God will save me.
No, the fire will burn you.
Exactly. God said you have to think and act.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge advocate for taking risks, but sometimes, you need to think about what you gain from that risk.
Yep.
Because a lot of times, for example, you'd see people, like one of the things I'd see that, I know that, like, some people, for example, if these, we're going to launch this, some will be against this, but for example, Mount Everest and the people that keep climbing there, they spend days, weeks, months possibly climbing. With all the respect, but what's the point? Like a lot of times back in the day, it was good because when you do this, you go to Guinness records and all of these things. Like there are a lot. It was something repetitive because people are trying to break records. I know that today people are doing the same thing, but your chances are like what 0.5% that you're gonna break a record. Like you can reach the mountain, your chances are higher. You have like 10% chance if you're lucky. But what's the point? You can take a risk in something else, right? I do think that, of course, people can feel free to disagree with this, but I do think that we also need to think a lot about what we're gonna do. Like if you have a dream, okay, this might be someone's dream, then all the best. But I just am not convinced that this is, what can I say, a good dream. Like calculated risk and what you can gain.
It's sometimes, yeah, I do feel that nature is so big from us, and we are not taking care of that.
We're not.
Yeah. Let's back to the Egypt. Tell me about the stories which local have heard regarding the aliens.
Oh, aliens.
In particular with the
With the peer.
because we have heard a lot.
They talk a lot about the fact that, I think that most of our countries, we talk about the fact that, America knows a lot of things. America's hiding things. Like there's even like, they're like, oh, okay, aliens, you're crazy if you think it's aliens, but what other way is there? Because a lot of times people are not sure how to, it's not that they are stupid, but it's because they're not stupid. They cannot comprehend the fact that, for example, the pyramids, as I told you now, I told you one idea of a lot of ideas out there, right? How they were built. But it's not comprehensible that people actually believe that aliens helped the people, helped the Egyptians build the pyramids. And
It might be the possibility, right? Or not?
it might be. It might be like, but there were no alien sightings in, like I've dug into this. There are no alien sightings on planet Earth. But
Do you know who is Bob Lazar?
I heard the name before though.
Bob Lazar is one of the engineer who used to work in Area 51.
Yeah.
So within the Area 51, he does have this specific location where he worked. Anyhow, he mentioned that he was working on the. Okay, you know what? Let me step back a little and provide you a little story about the Bob Lazar. He's the engineer in his 20s, like the early 20s. I'm talking about when he was teenager, early 20s, like 19 years old, or teens, we can say, or in the early 20s. He put a jet engine in his Honda car, jet plane engine in the Honda car, and he used to drive that. So he was from a very small town of states. When the news got into the news channels and the mainstream, then he was kind of popular. And at that point, he met with someone who used to like a government official. And technically, later he ended up applying for a government job. In the government job, they mentioned it going to be a remote area job where you will be working, let's say, 5 days on the site, then 5 days off, stuff like that. It's kind of a remote sound. So he agreed. He was hired for that particular job. And the very first day, he don't know about the much, but basically later, day by day, he came to know that he is working on the, what we say, extraterrestrial vehicle, ET. Okay. And the reason he mentioned he came to know that because the particular piece he was working on, because they never been shown the whole project of the flying saucer or the flying disc in itself altogether. Small pieces, let's say we two are working on this small piece, then another two are working on that small piece. Basically, they have to reverse engineer that whole.
Yeah.
Okay, so that the states has that capability to fly around. Okay, and the thing he was working on that was basically on to reverse engineer object which is like a size of a ball, and that has the capacity to create a gravitation in ocean. And at that time, or even though till today, we don't have the ability or the capability to produce the gravitational energy. I mean, of course, we are able to produce the electrical energy or electromagnetic energy, but not the gravitational energy.
That's it.
So that is how he know that he is working on something very advanced. That is what he mentioned. And he been to many, what we say,
The first one he did was inconclusive. The examiner thought Lazar was so nervous
and
that it
they
was
know
difficult to
that,
get an
okay,
accurate
are
reading on
you
it. Tabernet was
saying
recommended.
truth
He
or
questioned
lie?
Lazar about the central allegations
So
that he had seen a
he
flying disc in a
went to
baseball test
many
floor,
and
that
he
the craft
was
was powered by an
asking
antimatter
for it.
reactor and generated.
That is the story of Bob Lazar. So that is the reason when you mention that you don't think the aliens do exist, but the Bob Lazar says something otherwise. And he is a public figure who is very respected in this particular thing when he's saying that because of the challenges he goes through. Because as a human being, we have this core nature. If something is not coming from the authority, we are not going to believe that. When we are talking about authority, it means the government officials. Just for the sake of example, and just think about that. That let's say government said something today, hey, there are in everyone gonna believe. Why? Why? But both Lazar is saying since he was too conscious till today, nobody, most of the people don't believe in spirit today. Why? Because the government is keep saying that no, there is no such an event.
The fact is, people just ignore the fact. Like I told you, I do not know about alien sightings on Earth, but I do believe aliens exist. You know how vast the universe is? It's massive. And God,
Even though we don't know the concept of the black holes, we are still finding there must be someone who already discovered the black hole.
exactly. And the fact is that, yeah, we are God's favorite creations, humans, but there are, we're God's favorite creations. Both created other things as well. There are animals, there are plants, there are, I'm not telling you I'm 100% sure, I have no proof, but I believe they are aliens outside. Like, even if they didn't come to Earth, they are there. Like, this vast universe, all these planets, everything, all these different atmospheres, these different gravitational powers. For example, you go on the moon, you're flying, all these things, the different conditions, they are designed for some reason. Everything is made for a reason, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, like since I was a child, I'm like, I hope, of course, I'm not saying aliens exist. Like, I hope aliens exist. They're like, honey, when are you gonna grow up? So I'm like, you can't just cross it out because there is no proof they don't exist. There is no proof that they exist. So I like to believe that they do.
They do exist. I do too. Because okay, if I may ask one thing, when you were saying that we are the God's favorite creation, and at the same time, God created the universe. And if God created the universe, we are believing that there must be some another civilization or some another aliens, right? Don't you think it's very hard to say that we are the God's favorite creation?
Well, it is actually, when you put it like this, it's a good point. But as humans, we have been told that we have to, I wouldn't say be one with nature, but like you have to look into nature. You have to go outside. You have to meet with people. You have to, for example, the plants, the animals, you're supplied all this food and all this, for example, cattle, all these things. And all these things are made for you. Like people, of course, based on their beliefs, it can be different. Their viewpoints can be different. But the way we see it, that, for example, us compared to animals, for example, we have animals have brains. Like lots of times, squirrel, like animals don't have brains. They have brains.
They do have.
And there are very smart animals. You have your dog, you have your cat. All the animals, they know things when they are hunting for prey. How are they gonna know when they don't have prey? Of course, they do. But what we have that differentiates us from any other creature is comprehension. We can comprehend things. For example, I saw someone standing over there, for example, with a chicken. Okay, I'm hungry. Okay, and for example, I eat chicken. Right? So the difference between me and an animal is that if there's a hungry animal and there's food in front of them, for example, with another animal or the human, the animal's not gonna care. If he's hungry, he's just gonna eat the food and eat the human at the same time. But I won't do that, or at least even if a thief does that or whatever does a criminal, he will think, he will be like, "Oh, should I do this? Should I not?" Because they have the power of comprehension. That's why when people do not comprehend things, that's why when they not make the right decisions or like, oh, okay, so it's your fault. You had the decision.
But interesting you bring that up because, as you mentioned, we have the ability to comprehend. because when the animals has the ability to, if they are feeling hungry, as in the same example, they're gonna eat the chicken as well as, because they're hungry, they're gonna just eat whatever it is. However, because of the power of the comprehend which we have, do you think that that is the only thing which is keeping us behind as well to achieve our dreams?
Yes. Yes. Because remember, we talked about risk earlier, right? A lot of times, overthinking, right? For example, I have a problem or something, and it's not a big problem. For example, I'm just walking by and then someone just bumped into me. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Oh, no, he didn't say I'm sorry. So I just think, "Oh, maybe he did it on purpose." Oh, wow, am I that weak? Wow, did he not see me? I mean, I'm working out at the gym. Why am I not big enough? Why was I pushed like this? Like, see, I just off the top of my mind and give you some ideas. So imagine when you did think about it, when you overthink, you might reach the point that, oh, okay, so some mafia boss just hired him to spy on me so that he would kill me so that I wouldn't become. No way. Yeah, overthinking, it goes sideways, it goes up, it goes down, it goes everywhere. So
Maybe government official is spying on me.
exactly. I don't know why they have so much free time if they're spying on someone like me, but but like yeah, when you think about it, like don't overthink it. Just think, okay, this happened. Okay, it's a mistake. Plus, it's not worth thinking about. Someone bumped into me. It happens all the time. You have to check your wallet though.
Of course.
Really good. I'm good.
Interesting. Uh, mm. So how your life started here in Canada?
Well, it was very different, I would say, from what I was experiencing my entire life. I've always lived with my family and stuff.
Back home in Egypt?
I lived in Egypt till I finished high school. Then I moved to UAE.
Okay.
So I was always with my family and all these things. And there are a lot of things that I was not good at that are basic. For example, using your credit cards or something. I can use it online, but for example, I cannot use my debit card to deposit something or withdraw. I couldn't, like, these are basic things you learn, right? But I actually learned them when I came here because I had to depend on myself. I didn't have to depend on my family. I didn't have all these things because I didn't need to. But when I came here, the first thing that I felt before coming here, going to the airport, was there's something in your heart. For example, yeah, my family are always there. But no, there's this shock when you realize, no, I'm on my own now, right? So I went for the first time to the airport, finished everything on my own, then took the plane on my own, no family, nobody. And I'll never forget this. When I hugged them for the last time, I was like, dang,
You felt that it hits you, huh?
yes, it's like a piece of your heart was removed, right? Because from there, I just looked them almost down and just went. Oh, I didn't want to look back again. I was like, okay, Khalas, I'm just going in there. That's it. Then when I arrived here, I just went, all these things happened. I have to do the groceries on my own. I on my own. I have to go there on my own. I have to talk to this person. Oh my God, I have to call the landlord on my own. So it was a lot of things that didn't take me that much time because I was being bombarded with a lot of things I have to do on my own. So it was the idea of just being independent.
Because you mentioned that it hits you when you was at the airport, or it hits you before that, if I'm...
It hit me after I just hugging the last time. Then I was just going away from them. They were not doing
you at the airport,
They were not going with me. I was going alone in there.
It's interesting that you're not alone in this ship. And I do have my friend Harpreet. She was telling the same thing. It hits her at the airport. Even though before that she was packing her bags and she took the cab and go to the airport. And by the time at the airport, she was like happy. Oh, okay, I'm going. Bye-bye. That is exact her words, okay?
Yeah.
And suddenly she mentioned it hits me at the airport that this might be the last time. The word I'm using might, because things happen, life happen, and nobody knows what's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Okay. And that is the exact same thing I believe which I have experienced. It hits me. But yeah, but just as a human being, as a man, our upbringing is so much like that. You're a man, you're not supposed to cry.
Yes.
You're a man, you're not supposed to share your feelings. If somebody hurts you, you don't have to cry. If you fell down, men don't cry, stuff like that. This particular quote is so much imposed on us as a man. And even though right now, which I realized myself that there are the moments when I have to be emotional, I feel like, okay, this is not my time to be emotional.
Yeah, because you put this barrier, or more like it was you allowed this barrier to be put in your heart because you've heard this a lot from your family, from your friends, from relatives, from people, even on TV. They're like, "Oh, you're a man. Why are you crying? Just go do this, do that. You have to do your thing. Do not show your emotions." And yeah, like it's not the problem. It's not just with crying. It's, for example, I'm just sitting there. For example, something bad happened, and I'm just sitting there disappointed. So you look vulnerable. You're emotional. You don't need to cry. Just look weak. No, you can't do that.
You can't do it.
And I can actually understand where they're coming from, because at the end of the day, like cultures, like ideas there are a lot of ideas here in Canada, right? That's inequality and all these things. But when you look at it, it's a lot of people don't really are not really on board with that. They would say yes. For example, if you're a guy and you're going through a lot of things, right? And I've heard a lot of stories, either here or back home. And someone's wife, she's supportive. There are very good couples that no matter what, they're always there with you. Wife, husband, wife, they love each other, good and bad. But a lot of times nowadays, I think in the coming generations, the ones younger than us, they just, if, for example, she finds that her guy is weak or he's, I think you heard about this thing, when they don't have much money, they're like, oh, okay, I'm just going with another guy, right? So it's just when you look vulnerable in a way, a lot of times, like most women are not like this, but most the ones that you hear about are like this. Just like most guys are not bad, but the ones that make the news are bad, right? So you build this assumption in your head like, oh, that means that I shouldn't show emotion or anything because girls are not gonna, for example, there's just my girl is gonna leave, for example, or oh my god, look at you, Rishab, you look sad. Okay, I'm going with the happy guy.
I'm going with Ali.
She's gonna find I'm sad and she's gonna go with someone else, bro. So yeah, so when things are like that, so it's like some kind of survival mechanism. So you have to look, like, understand, as a man, you have to look strong so that your lady just knows, yeah, you're protecting her. She's providing for you, you're providing for her. But other than this, like, we're human. You know the song, I'm only human after.
Wow.
So exactly. So we have to understand this. Yeah, I don't have to mask my emotions fully, but I have to channel my emotions. Oh, okay. For example, I'm angry, right? Okay, you can go train or whatever, release it somehow. Oh, you release your anger in gaming, go play video games. Whatever. Like, you can channel these emotions. And sometimes you have to show them. Sometimes behind closed doors or whatever, but you shouldn't block them, because if you block them, they're just gonna come out
Some or the other way.
in a very bad way.
Really bad way, but some or the other way.
Yes. I remember at one point I had a friend, like, didn't turn out to be much of a friend, but he was kind of, what can I say? He's abusive in a mental way, psychologically abusive. Like, for example, you're just sitting there, it's like, you're sitting there and doing nothing. You'll always be like that. Something like this. And it would come between my friends and we just talk badly about me just to make them laugh. So I was just laughing it out and stuff, just trying to block my emotions. But like, I'm upset about this. I don't like what he's doing. But then eventually he just did one little thing. And this is the moment that I snapped. I was like, you know what? Stop acting it like you're the. And yeah, he was strong. He's like,
What happened to Ali?
what happened now?
Jhin came into Ali.
So yeah, he was strong at first. But the problem is, the way he retaliated was the worst way possible. Imagine, for example, you're a very calm guy, right? You're my friend and everything. And then I'm always saying things to you and you're never angry. So the moment you get angry, I have to cool it down. Someone has to be the stimulant, right? No, not the stimulant, but like, what can I say?
Someone has to absorb and calm you down.
Yes. But yeah, but imagine you're angry and I'm angry. So what's that?
It was not going to happen.
Just fire. Like, no fire, no water. Just no fire. So that's how it happened. And it was just one little thing. It was not even half as big as the other thing, but it was just one little thing. So emotions have to be channeled. You have to release your emotions, but you have to know how and when. That's it. You shouldn't block your emotions. You're human. Right? But yeah, we never learned this. We're always told, "Oh, you're a man. You just have to handle it. You just have to."
Because you just mentioned that right now, Oli, that you had one friend who was like mentally abusive. I just realized right now I do know a couple of people. I used to call them friends, but back home, when I was back home, maybe we don't have much of experience of life. Then we are not able to make the difference. What is the difference between friendship and what is the difference between what this person exactly is doing with me? So even though right now I do know I'm not gonna say the name of the person, and he's having this ability who is like try to make laugh of your physical appearance. Even though if you're talking with him on the phone after 6 months or a year, it's the very first thing he's trying to do is try to put you down on the ground by saying something which is offensive to you, and he knows this is not right to say that. But in his mental health, he's like, it's okay. So I do know such people, and right now I'm at this point. I know what they are doing, so I was like, okay, man, this is what you are doing. It's okay. I'm not interested anymore. I just hung up the phone. Right now, I am at that stage. I don't want anyone to interfere my personal health as well as my mental health. So someone who is yelling at me, it's okay. Once upon a time, I will understand you might be having a bad day. I'll absorb that. I'll say, talk to you. I will try my level best to talk to you. And I will say, wait, that's a bad response. Second time, it might not be the same as first, but I will let it go. Third time you did that, bro, we're done. Okay, when I'm saying done, it does not mean I just tear off the paper, right? For me, I have this huge folder or a booklet, like the one with the extensions, right? So if you are on the very first page of that booklet, what I will do, I will put you to the very bottom of my booklet, in my folder, priority wise. And that's it. You are there. We are still at a good note. We will be still talking when we meet somewhere, but it is not like as good as it's supposed to be. This is my philosophy right now. So I don't snap on people right now. I used to, but at this point I was like, okay, man, let me give you an example. Very random example, but let's say your friend came in from some another province, and he's making plans with you. Hey, Rishab, okay, I'm going on vacation on this day, and we're gonna do that. We're gonna do this stuff like that. And later, you already planned everything with him. You discussed with him, and you already planned your whole work schedule or any schedule, right? And later, before that one day, he just told you, "Hey, you know what? I'm going out with someone else." He, what about my plans? I need left most of the things just for to give you the priority and what you did right now. At this point, I'm not going to argue with him. I just don't respond because at this point, because if I'm going to answer your call, I know what will happen, and this is not something what I want. So let it be. So that is what I'm saying. I'm at this stage right now. But yeah, if we come back to the same discussion which we were having, that as a man, of course, nobody teached us how to channel our emotions. And talking about channeling the emotions, I do believe that mentally affects you if you don't know how to channel the emotion, because you give the example, go and work out, channel that emotion over there. If someone who is not ready to work out, his mental health is going to be destroyed.
Yes, but people have different ways of doing it. Like, for example, I think you've seen friends like this or with friends that he's sad, he got a bad mark or whatever, they're just playing video games. A lot of times the problem with the parents, they don't understand. They're like, oh, so you just failed this subject, you're playing video games now? See, this is why you failed. So they're making you feel worse. So a lot of times when people are doing things like that, it's to release the stress. He's not focusing on the game. In his mind, he's thinking about, oh my God, what can I do? How can I think this? Should I go to this? Should I call that? So he's trying to release the stress and same time to think about how to deal with it. But that's why it's important to understand all these things. You also said the example of the friend that's just snapping on you from time to time because he's having a bad day. This is not right. because this is what we're trying to avoid. You're trying to avoid releasing your stress in a negative world.
When I give you that example, it means I have the human tendency, or maybe it's personal to me. I love to give opportunities to people to improve. That is what I do. That is what I do. So if you snap at me once, it's okay. You might be having a bad day. It's okay. We are a human being. We all have a bad day. As you mentioned that some once it just happened, you just snapped on your friend, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, if you also mention that your friend is not able to understand and he's also going to argue with you, there will be fire and there is no going back from that.
Exactly.
At that point, in that way, I'm saying, okay, I understand. I'll give you the opportunity to improve yourself next time. If you try to make a second time, I might able to let it slip, but third time, no.
The problem is that a lot of these people who do this, they don't apologize. They don't. Like you already said it, you mentioned once that this person apologized. They think that it's okay. Because you're my friend, I get to shout at you. I get to argue with you. Oh, I'm having a bad day. Then you will have a bad day. Of course. So it's not right. Because a lot of times this is very selfish and inconsiderate. Because you could be having a worse day than me, but you're not showing it. This is one of the things that happened to me with this same friend. A lot of times I knew that my friends were going through stuff of this, and it was the last semester and we were going to graduate and get our bachelor's. So this is something I always do actually. Like I think you noticed before the interview, I'm just laughing at stuff about whatever happened. So I don't like to show that, oh, I'm upset or stuff. I always like to stay positive, but also stay grounded. That we have to meet reality, right, and deal with things. So he wouldn't assume any of this. I was always laughing at stuff he was telling me about things he was going through. I was okay with all of that. But he would also bring up the fact that, oh, I have nothing to do. I'm always living that easy life. All these things. It's like these people don't try to assume that you're trying, like everyone, we all have our own problems and we're trying to deal with them, but we deal with them differently. Some people just like to blatantly out loud be like, oh, okay, I'm having this, I'm having that, this is upset or she's upset, and everyone is trying to comfort them. Other people are just very stoic. Like they're just always their face is written like this the entire time. Like you don't know they're going through a good day, a bad day. Other people are just,
You know what? As we just mentioned right now, there was a one individual who just came in my mind. Of course, I'm not going to say his name for obvious reasons, but yeah, at my workplace, there was one. Anyhow, yeah.
there's someone like this.
There was, bro, you cannot even say he's having a bad day or he's having a good day. He's always like, you walking by, usually what happen if two people are walking by, they usually smile on mine. So he's like, so, I'm not saying anything in a bad way, but yes, some people they do have this kind of tendency. Or maybe they are, as we are discussing, they are not able to express themselves very well. But anyhow, I want you to take back you to the airport now. What happened after that when you came here?
Yeah, so when I came here, I got lost in the airport.
No way.
Yeah, I had to. And the good thing with my college is that they actually, like, I got in touch with them, but there was a problem with the line because I had no service, of course. So I had to call my brother, who had to call the college, who had to go. Like a lot of things happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually the cab, he came and stuff, and he took me to the place. Just went in there. It felt so weird, me just going alone on my own. And in a place which was, we just go into a random place when you first come here in Canada. It has a lot of people just going around, people just sleeping like, they are in a can of tuna and just beside each other. So it's like, you're in a prison, but like you're not in prison. So yeah, this was my experience at first. And then it was not a challenge. I met a lot of people. I came here, I was not putting in mind that I'm going to make any more friends. I made friends from online classes, of course. But I was like, okay, these are the only 3 friends I'm going to make here. I don't want to make any more friends, guys. I just want to get my diploma. I just want to finish. I just want to get my work permit, which is my PR job out it. But yeah, I actually managed to meet a lot of people. A lot of them were nice, and some of them were not so nice. But like, I didn't expect that there were so many nice people that can relate to you, right? They're like, okay, yeah, we left our families there and stuff. So you're like, I'm not alone.
Yep.
And there are girls and guys, they're all just going through the exact same things. So it's just make me not feel alone, I guess. Because if I was with my family and stuff, it was perfect. But then again, with this challenge, I feel like I've changed to the better. And because when you face adversity, you have to get stronger to be able to meet it. So that's it. So I'm actually very blessed. Like even the good and the bad things that are happening here, I'm very happy because I'm dealing with these things like without my family just getting in there and stuff. No, are actually getting. And if I need help, for example, I ask friends for help and all these things. Like I'm involved in this. I'm not just living this thing and like, oh, guys, you deal with it. So it's what can I say? It's bittersweet, but I would say it's more sweet because it's bitter when it comes to the hard work or just change in general. Because if you notice, if people just implement change anywhere, it's always a problem. All the people are like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why not do it the traditional way? Why not do this as always?" A lot of people are telling me, "Why not just stay in UAE? It's a rich country. You can work in Dubai. You can work in Abu Dhabi. You can get a lot of money." They're like, "Yeah, but where's the challenge?" A lot of people are just living in UAE, for example, and you get a lot of money, but you as a person, you're not evolved. You're just, okay, I'm just gonna get work. I'm gonna get a family. I'm gonna get kids. I'm just gonna work 9 to 5, for example, come back and stuff. That's it. That's my life. There's nothing new. Here, you can do a lot of things. For example, once you get to your PR, you will be able to work any jobs you want or whatever. Just go there, go here. I don't know. You wanna, for example, start something else, a business, a YouTube channel, whatever. You can do whatever you want, right? Because here the environment is encouraging you. People are encouraging you. People are not like, they just sit home, don't work, come back from work, sleep, get back the next day, go to work, come sleep. So it's like your life is going by and you're not doing much with it.
Because you just mentioned this, so yeah, it's relatable to many, especially international students,
Yeah.
such as yourself and myself. And yeah, regarding the opportunities, we can say yes, there are. However, because there is one thing, correct me if you are agree with me, okay? You mentioned that people are motivating you to do different stuff here.
Yeah.
But according to me, it is us who are motivating ourselves. We are just trying to give credit to different people. Now, the reason I'm saying this, because back home, of course, we are living with our parents, as you mentioned, even that if something happened, you are not involved, then you just told your parents and then they will take care of rest.
Yes.
Right? Over here, you have to be involved. Why? Because your family is not here. Once you are involved, you learn something. Once you learn something, you go for another learning. And after those whole learnings, experiences which you have, you eventually collectively make something new out of it.
Exactly.
Right? So when this happen, of course, people are good, people are bad. Okay. And most of the time it completely depends on us that how we are going to react to these situations. Just for the sake of example, if someone who is trying to rob me, okay, and now what I have to do in that situation? If someone is pointing a gun at me, I will like, okay, man, whatever you need. Okay? Because I know I'm all alone here. My family is not there. What happened to back then? These are the initial thoughts which come into my mind. If somebody is pointing the gun at me, I will like, okay, whatever you need, everything in my clothes, I will give you that. I will walk home naked, bro. It's fine. It's completely fine. And the second thing, if somebody is trying to rob me out of like without any gun or stuff like that, and I know I'm able to, if he's a bulky or a big guy, I know I'm a fast runner, I'll bloody run away. I will run away. I know he cannot run away, catch me, right? And he is like someone like me. I can easily deal with him. I'm like, yo, man, what's up? Right? So what's up? So you got the feeling. Yeah, anyhow, but yeah, as you mentioned that people are motivating, I believe it's us who we are motivating ourselves. We are just so kind to give credit to others.
Yeah. You know, since you mentioned this, they say one of the things that I've read that's very interesting, actually. Because it's very interesting you brought this up. Because I read it recently, about a week or 10 days ago. So there are people that you like, others that you don't like. But let's ignore the others. Let's focus on those that you like. Some people you like and admire so much. For example, a mentor to you, a teacher. For example, even your boss at work. Maybe your boss is more of a leader than a boss. So sometimes you just like it's something that a lot of the people, like my family and friends, they have told me that I do a lot, is that I don't dedicate a lot of the credit to myself. A lot of times I'm like, for example, this person helped me. I was at a bad time or whatever, and this friend was there for me and was talking to me and stuff. Or this friend encouraged you, for example, to take the next step in your life. And then you took the next step. Then you're like, oh, thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, I would not have done this. Honestly, I believe that this is wrong. You know why? It's not because I'm not discrediting this person, because I actually do this a lot. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. You were a huge part of my change. Like, yeah, this person motivated you. For example, if it's a 10 out of 10 step, this person pushed you by 1 or 2 out of 10. The 8 out of 10 was by you. Because a lot of times you watch these motivational videos and like, yo, it's over, I win, and all these things. And then I'm just watching it while eating Cheetos and just lying down like that. Like, it's giving you the 2 out of 10. But where's the 8 out of 10 from you? So you have to believe that no matter amount of motivation or how many people push you, if it's not you taking the step, then
Nothing will happen, right?
exactly. So you shouldn't discredit these people, but you shouldn't discredit yourself either from this 8 out of 10.
Yep.
Done. So yeah,
This is something which I learned hard way. But as long as I learned it so good.
exactly. Like yeah, it's kind of crazy because you're thinking you're doing justice to these people, but you're not doing justice to yourself.
Yes.
And if you don't love yourself, you don't truly love others. So it's like I'm talking to myself before I'm talking to you and everyone else because I need to be more, but not of course narcissistic, but more like acknowledge my own actions as well, the steps I take, just like I acknowledge the movies.
Interesting. So once you are here, there must be some phases that you might be feeling alone. So how you deal with that?
It's very interesting because at the beginning of this year, I finished my college at the end of last year.
Which college you used to serve?
Two college.
Who where that is?
It's written SALT, SAULT, or Trias College. It's, Bramley City Center?
Mhm.
Yes, it's close to it. So it's the college, between the two banks, TD and BMO, I think. It's right on the side. So anyway, once I finished, you have to apply for the work permit, right? Once you get this job, you go. So during this time, we got up work.
It's also readable if you want.
This was actually the time when I felt most alone because I was not doing many hours at this time, but I was sitting at home a lot. I was not seeing anything other than the ceiling and the windows. That's it. So like, it's not good. I did not come here to stay here. I could have just stayed back in here, right? Because I was just sitting alone as well there. I'm like, okay, but this time, like, it should be different. A lot of times I was just playing games and all these things, but no, right now I'm sitting here alone. I'm not doing anything. But I need to be ready so that, for example, if you're in your comfort zone for long, when you go out, you're like, I want to go back. Yep. Right? So I didn't want to go, what can you say, just run out of steam or just not be ready. So this is when I started actually truly pushing myself in working out. I started working out like insane. I started reading. I started even like reading more in my religion and stuff. I started getting in touch with more people back home and here. Like I started doing things. I started even trying to learn things. I even continued learning. Been learning French for a while now. I increased my lessons. So when the day goes by, I feel like maybe I didn't go to work, maybe I didn't make money, but I actually, learning things. I'm doing things, right? And even one of the things I was doing, I was planning for my graduation as well because I was trying to make the graduation as good as possible. I was suggesting to the staff members how to do stuff. So I actually kept myself busy. And all of a sudden, I started getting hours again. And I just maintained a lot of these activities. Till today, I'm doing this thing. A lot of this stuff.
It's a good thing because if I share my experience, I came here in 2019, right? So after like 4 or 5 months, I been here, COVID happened. And during the whole COVID period, so my college was online. So I was most of the time home. And the online college, it was just starting out. So professors and teachers, they were not sure what to expect in student. So because this was the new for everyone and no one has the expectation.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you are just submitting your, what we say, assignments, everybody is happy. So this happened with me, and yeah, I can relate somewhere around that. That was for me. That was the time when I was most of the time at home, and I have no one to talk about.
Yeah.
And after that, because from the work I was laid off from the work, I cannot do anything.
Yeah.
And later on, how I channel though, because of the COVID, what we say, gyms was closed at that time. So I cannot barely go to gym, even though I don't have money because I don't have job.
Yeah.
It was just my GIC. I was living out of. Anyhow, long story short, when I came back on my grounds, I started going to job. Then I feel like I involved myself in order to get rid of that stress part of the that day or the life, that I started working extra hours.
Oh.
Even those extra hours are not going to help me, of course, at the long run. And eventually they are stressing me out more. Just for the sake of example, every morning when we are waking up, if you don't have a motivation, you always step out of the bed in a lazy mood.
Yeah.
If you know, okay, I have to do this now. And if you're excited about that thing, so your whole vibe for the whole day is completely different.
Yes.
Okay. I'm talking about in that terms.
Yeah.
So at that time, I don't have any motivation. So for me, it was like, yeah, just wake up, go to work, come back home, cook your meal, eat, go to sleep, then go back the same routine. It was more like that. And that was the time when I'm saying I was very demotivated. Then later, by the starting of this year, so I have this little goal that, you know what, I don't care about job anymore. I will make whatever I have to. I will survive. I'm not gonna die with a hunger.
Yeah.
This much I'm sure about myself as of right now. And I want to give myself a time just for myself. Then for the 2023, I started, how people write the Revolution 2023. This is the things I will do for 2023. I didn't write it down, but somewhere in back of my mind, I always have these things. So first of all, I just want to wake up early in the morning at 5.
That you're doing like the rock.
Yeah, no, it was something I really want to do. Then I eventually used to work night shift at that time. So because of the night shift, you go into a depression a little more because of the lack of sunlight.
Yeah.
In the sun daytime, you are sleeping, and the nighttime you're waking, so you barely see the sunlight, and it really giving you more depression.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was working nights, so it was the very first thing I want to do. I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and I want to get rid of the night job. Now for the job, I cannot do it with a snap of the finger.
Yeah.
Right. Second thing, what I can do, I can go to the gym. That is the thing which I started again. So I started building my habit to at least show at the gym, even though when I don't want to. That is my initial things. I used to go after my work, approximate like 8 or 9 a.m. Or if not 8 or 9, if I'm very tired that day, I try my level best to go in the afternoon or in the evening. Okay. Then later, I want to start to read books just for the sake of myself. I used to read books earlier because I mentioned I used to work night shift. Most of the time, I just read books over there. And it was not regular, but occasionally I used to. But I want to do it a regular thing.
Yeah.
Then I started doing that. Then later I was, you know what, get rid of this job now, night shift. I don't want to do it. Let's find something more. And I just quit that job. I did not do anything for a while. And finally, now working day, I wake up at 5. Early morning, for my motivation to wake up, I have to go to gym.
Nice.
So that is my motivation to wake up at 5.
Nice.
So every time I wake up, so for starting, first 2 months, it was very fun.
Yeah.
I do remember there are certain days I don't want to wake up. I just snooze my alarm. I go back to sleep. I was like, it's not what I want. I just wake up and show at the gym. If once I'm at the gym, I end up doing all the exercise which I have to do as per my schedule. But this is something I'm trying to change my life on. And this is a good thing. And after doing this, I feel like I'm more positive and able to achieve or work towards the thing which I really want to doing by myself in my own life, which makes me happy.
It's very good.
such as this what we are doing right now. Because this is the plan which I want to do for a very, very, very long time. When I'm saying very, very long time, I want to do something about the YouTube. I don't know what. When I was in my 10th standard,
Yeah.
I had the first computer of the family. We had the new internet connection. I set up my Gmail account. I set up my YouTube channel. And at that time, it was the early stages when YouTube started monetizing these channels.
It was early 2010s, right?
Somewhere around here, yeah. We are talking about that time. I was hardly in 11th or 10th standard or 9th standard, somewhere. Anyhow, I just monetized my channel. I don't know what is monetization. I looked a bunch of the videos, how to do it. I just did that. I never used that.
Oh, and then now they have rules. In order to get monetized, you have to get 4,000 watch hours.
It was easy earlier, but I have no knowledge. And I feel like time was never right. Even though right now I feel like time was never right, but eventually time is never right.
Exactly. You never get the perfect opportunity you create.
No, you have to. So that was my story when I'm talking about there must be some motivation to wake up, not early in the morning or wake up in a day. So you have to motivation. Let's do this. Stuff like that. So what is your motivation?
I'll tell you something. Since he talked about the fact that there was a time when you're waking up every single day and you're like, you want to get up.
Yeah.
That's me every single day. Has been like this for months now. Mostly for like 2 or 3 months now. I'm just getting up and I don't feel like getting up. I'm like, just going get up. I'm just going to do whatever my morning routine, then just go to work and just come back. The day's over and it's sleep. So it's like the problem is when you're not motivated or when you're not motivating yourself, because this motivation most of the time doesn't come from the outside. You're motivating yourself. You just feel that everything is negative, right? Like, for example, you're not assuming, oh, I'm gonna, on this same day, for example, you met a friend by chance. You didn't assume that. You're like, just gonna be another day. But no, it's never another day.
It's never another day.
It's always, there's always something.
Always a new day.
Yeah, exactly. Always something good or bad. So motivation, if you know David Goggins, he's one of those, he was in the Navy SEAL back in the day in America. And he's actually one of the best people that are talking to you and they're telling you about how you should work out, how you should train, the fact that you should always keep chasing your goals. There's also another guy, he's very well known, and he's one most of the notorious things, he's called Andrew Tate.
Ah, I love this guy. No, don't go to my comments and start bashing around. Okay?
Because we're talking about the main thing, which is what he says, not about the controversial thing, but the main thing, which is he's always telling you that motivation is not a thing. It's something that just comes out of thin air at some point and doesn't.
It's more about the discipline. When we are talking about motivation, it's not a motivation, it's a discipline which makes you motivated.
I'll tell you what. Now, I actually recently, the happiest moment of my life, recently, was my graduation day. Because it actually happened at the end of March. And you have no idea. I think no one knows, but they will know now when they watch. I've been preparing for this mentally and in other ways, plans and stuff, for 4 months before. Since the day that college ended, I've already marked, the bucket list.
Yeah.
I just had a bucket list. I was like, okay, these are the things that are gonna happen. These are the things I'm gonna do. And I think only one thing didn't happen. Everything else happened. And there were times when these things were not gonna happen, but I had to make it happen. And there are times when you're trying to make something happen and it's going so well, but then at the last second,
Something happened.
yes,
You feel like your whole plan was crap. Oh no! Just because of that one thing, I feel.
Yes. And one of these things is that I wanted to bring my friends in, but you get one invite, and the invite gives you 2 people to bring only. So it was going so well. Then one of my friends something happened, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot bring them. This is horrible. But then it was just for a second. Then after this, okay, so let's see what we do. Yeah, I was very demotivated at this time. It was like, let's see what I can do about it. Eventually, things worked far better than I thought in every single aspect of my bucket list. Even surpassed my bucket list and became, my tower list, not bucket list at this point. So on this day of the graduation, I was waking up it was the first time in such quite a while. And I was very happy. I couldn't sleep that day. Like I went from just sleeping, just it's another day. I'm gonna sleep anyway. To the point where I just slept for 1 or 2 hours. I did a speech. I had to meet up with people. I told this, that, do this, do that. But I was on 1 hour sleep. I was very motivated. I was like both disciplined and very motivated. So I was very energetic. And then at the end of the day, of course, after everything is over, you're like,
That kick was over, huh?
yeah, and you're like, now 12, 13 hours of sleep, something like this. So that's motivation that it gives you extra energy. But regardless, whether you have it or not, you should do what you have to do. I'm waking up. I was telling one of my friends, telling him, I don't have the condition, but like my mood, I'm depressed every single day. Just waking up thinking, this, that, I'm worrying about this, worrying about that. But then once you actually, if you just give in and you just stay in bed, for example, you don't do your early routine or whatever, you'll feel worse.
Yep.
You're going to feel much worse. But if you actually get up regardless and you do your thing, I finished my, even half your daily routine, start feeling much better. Like, because you feel you're stronger. Like, I didn't feel like doing this, but I
You
did.
have a control. That is what you feel.
Exactly.
And even though, as you mentioned, like if you, before going to bed, it's a very simple practice. We used to hear that when we were child. Make sure when you before you go to bed, make a list what you have to do early morning or tomorrow when you wake up.
Daily tasks. Yeah.
Daily tasks before you go to bed today, before you go to sleep. Make sure you have a daily task for tomorrow. The reason for that, it will give you motivation. It will give you the sense of control. And eventually, if you are able to achieve those tasks, it will give you the sense of responsibility and sense of accomplishment, which is very true.
Exactly.
And it helps you and shape your structure as well.
And to everyone watching, also make sure not to put so many tasks. Because a lot of times, when you put a lot of tasks, like the first step, the good step is that you put things on paper, for example. Or you put,
So very good practice.
that's a very good practice. But a lot of times people put a lot of tasks, like for example, this 3 a.m. motivation, and you're like watching motivational videos, you're like, no, tomorrow I'm not going to sleep. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and this. And you list like 500 things. And then what happens at the end is that you end up
Doing nothing.
you wake up the next day and you're like, okay, so I have these things. Oh my God, why did I do that? No, I can't do this. I can't do that. That's why. That's why you have to start gradually, right? And you have to put things that you can do. For example, I wake up today, I'll drink a glass of milk. Okay, we can do that. Right?
We can't do that.
Okay, I'll wake up today and go to the washroom. I can do
Small steps.
exactly small steps, which will amount eventually to big things. Like
Just as I mentioned, wake up at 5. Small step.
it's very difficult.
Very small step. But yeah.
I think it's easier for me to just stay awake till 5 and then sleep at But yeah, like jokes aside, it's true. You have to take small steps, and you shouldn't overwhelm your mind. Like I have this, for example, I'm telling you, and I'm feeling depressed. I'm like, I have to do all these things. No, you don't. You have to do them throughout the day. You're awake for 14, 15, 16 hours, right? So you have the entire day to do this. So you do them step by step. When you're eating your food, you're not eating the entire plate like this. Eating by spoon,
Or spoon by spoon.
bit by bit. That's it. And because if you're actually overthinking, like, I have to eat the entire plate. Oh my God, you're not going to eat everything, even if you're hungry.
Yep.
So that's the point, because a lot of people get overwhelmed, and getting overwhelmed emotionally mainly, it just burns everything. You don't focus, you lose focus. You lose the ability to actually be willing to do something. A lot of people are very talented. A lot of people are very skilled. I've seen these people. Like I had social media account, and people would comment things like, I'm a loser, I'm this, I'm that. Like I would make an edgy joke and they're like, oh yeah, I'm a loser too. You're not a loser. You just need to try out things. You just need to understand that you have your own skills and abilities.
Right?
Exactly. Because we all have infinite amount of potential. We are very good. All of us. I believe everyone, not just one person. Not just one person is bad. No, everyone is good. But you need to find this one thing. You need to be able to just have the courage to take the step. Because I know that the problem is also with the people that you surround yourself with. A lot of times, like I keep bringing family up a lot, because a lot of people are like, oh, my family is bad, my family is this. And some people are like, oh, family never makes mistakes. They are good, they care about you, but sometimes their care can be excessive. They can be like the bee that killed its friends. No, not the bear that killed its friend. You know the story?
No, I don't.
Show me. So this is something that we say back home. So you have a guy who was sleeping under a tree, okay, and he had a friend which was a bear. So at one point, a bee stood on the guy's head and was going to sting him. So the bear wanted to save him, right? What did she do? She took out the entire tree and she slammed the tree on his head to kill the bee. So she ended up killing the bee, yes, congratulations, and she killed her friend as well. So the moral of the story is that sometimes the way that you help others may actually prove to be more detrimental than helpful, actually. So that's why, like, I know that I have no experience. I'm not a parent, but like to all parents out there which are going to insult me in the comments, like we need to encourage, you need to encourage your kids and stuff, but have limits. Like, because I didn't become a doctor, I don't want my kid to be a doctor. Like, it's not that, but you just let your kid know what they're good at.
It's very deep. I have only two last more questions. And these are the questions which I most frequently ask myself. And I'm trying to make a habit to ask everybody now. Number one, what is that piece of advice you want to give to your younger self so that he or she will achieve the success in life at a very fast pace?
Well, you said something deep, but then you're asking a very deep question now. No, I think maybe I should have been more like less emotional about things that happen, less worried about things. Because even when I was younger, although I didn't have many worries, but I was always, as humans, we have to find a problem and just worry about it. For example, I was not very good at football as a kid, but I always wanted to make the football team. I was like, I want to impress everyone and blah, blah, all these things. Oh, these people, for example, my friends will like me if I become better at football. All these things. So I'm thinking about all these things and I'm just thinking about, like, yeah, football is fun and everything. But I just ignored everything that I could do and I focused on this one thing that I was not very good at to improve. And I actually taking the time, as I told you, little steps at a time. For example, I'm very good at drawing. So had I actually taken the time to focus on drawing, yeah, I can focus football as well, but take a bigger margin focus on drawing and just focus more on myself, that focus on trying to get people's approval, would be in a different place right now. Like right now, this is something I'm doing. Right now, I'm just doing things, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, okay, for example, like even YouTube is my passion as well. I'm planning scripts and stuff. They're like, "Honey, this is not guaranteed." Some people are like this. Some are encouraging, but at the end of the day, even if it's your own mom, if she's not believing in the dream of yours, you have to take her advice, listen very well to what she has to say, because she needs your benefit. But at the same time, she also will tell you it's your decision in the end, right? So as long as it's not something bad, it's not something that's hurting you or something or hurting someone else, just do it. But just make sure that you always have a backup. So my advice, basically, just don't let people dictate your life. I'd say that. I'd say that.
Or you can say, make sure you go to and visit Egypt from inside. When I say Egypt, it means pyramid.
Come visit the president one day.
Habibi. All right. Second question. If you have only 24 hours of your life, what are you going to do in that whole 24 hours?
Getting a bit emotional now, if I'm being honest. I'll just... How long does it take to go back to UAE? I don't know. 14, 15 hours. Oh my God. So I won't be able to see, man. Of course, I don't spend the time with my family in the end. Because regardless of what disagreements you might have with your family or stuff, still my blood, right? I love a lot of people here. I have a lot of friends here, or UAE or Egypt. Just family always comes first. And just go back to them and just stay with them. Just family, buddy.
This is all you want to do in whole 24
Yeah.
of the last day of your life.
Just if you might be in fall, there's a 14, 15 hours flight. So it's going to be just 9 hours.
Still have like many hours.
9 hours. No, I'll just... I don't know what else can I do. It's the first thing that popped in my mind, right? I just had to stay with my family, especially that during the past, it has been over a year now, I haven't seen them. They're telling me that when can we see you? If we're going to live long enough to see you. These things. So I've stayed here. I've met a lot of people, all these things. And like, of course, I love, like, if I could live longer, like, the one thing I want to do is to leave an impact on the world, not just my country, not just my family, on the entire world somehow. But if I have such a limited time, then my family is my world. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I guess if they're gonna find me coming all of a sudden, I would go on. But yeah,
Interesting.
I'm more interested on in how many people like said otherwise, or what people said actually. I don't.
Well, so far, most frequently I asked that I'm trying to make a habit to ask every or each of my guests. And in conclusion, all of them, they have a one single answer, that family. And that second question. I believe that's all for today's podcast.
Oh my god, time flew by, bro.
Exactly. So how you feel like?
Nah, I feel good. Actually, I enjoyed it. It's like we're just, in Starbucks or whatever, having a conversation. So,
All right. I believe we will especially gonna do that later some other time as well. Love to have you over here, brother. And thank you very much for coming at the host.
thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
All right. I hope you must have learned something from his life experiences. And I just want to say thank you for supporting us, and kindly do support us only at the Avilash podcast, where the experience flows.